Eric Rosen here today, your internal strength coach, here to show you how to overcome your greatest challenges so you can shine your brightest light. I have a special guest with me today. Danielle Lebeau is a hospice nurse, but more importantly, a fellow health coach. Danielle, do you want to give a little brief intro about what it is that you do for the audience?
Sure. I coach people in their relationship to food and uncovering the unfulfilled underneath stuff that often represents and manifests itself in overeating, undereating, overexercising, underexercising, whatever. Any sort of health not working outness or symptom. I coach people through that and have the most kick-ass, badass, amazing life in 6 months or less.
And she embodies that too. She's like a ray of sunshine. It's pretty awesome. So a pretty unique video today. You guys watching normally, the videos that I come out with a lot of times has to do with something that's actually going on in my life, and then, you know, trying to put that into a video to see how it can help you guys. Today I actually had a viewer send me a message and specifically requested a topic. Her father died at a relative early age, and today's the 5th anniversary actually of his death, and she's, you know, still dealing with that grief, with that loss, and just, you know, wants to understand, you know, what is some of the peace, what is some of the positivity that you can find, you know, even in death, you know, when that grief, you know, just feels so great and so overwhelming. So it actually worked out really perfect, you know, seeing Danielle tonight, because, you know, she is, you know, been around that stuff, right? So, you know, what better person to bring in on this topic? But, you know, the first thing that like kind of came to me as I wanted to put together this video was looking specifically at, you know, where, you know, it's like the impact that this person that passed away like had like on your life, okay? They have an impact on you, and they become a kind of a part of you, and like especially like in your value system, and it's like, where are they still like existing like in the world? Like where in your relationships and your values have like you kind of spread like those positive vibrations like of that person, you know? For example, you know, like in your children, you know, what is it that you're instilling in your children, you know, that your father, you know, taught you, and just seeing how like his legacy, like those values like continue to live on. But the other unique thing like that I wanted to do about this, since did want it to be specific, was I actually drew a tarot card on it. So amazingly enough, I got the High Priestess card upright. So the High Priestess card is actually all about intuition, sacred knowledge, the subconscious mind. And the neat thing about this card is what it's saying is that there's actually this veil that exists between like this world and like the other side, like the underworld, if you will. And it's saying that the veil right now between you and that underworld is thin. So it's a way of being able to actually, in a way, communicate with the other side. So it's an opportunity to be still and just kind of listen to that inner voice, you know, get into this meditative like state and just kind of let your subconscious mind just do the talking. It's allowing the thoughts and everything to subside, and just allowing yourself to be still, be quiet, and just go in and seeing what comes up, and learning to trust that voice. You can even, you know, if you're inclined to, call on the High Priestess, you know, like in this meditation, and you can even set that intention as you call on her too, that, you know, I want to find the peace and the positivity like in this death and this passing. And so yeah, like my understanding this card coming through is that I think what you're asking for, I think that answer is already like within you, that it's already in the subconscious mind. You just have to access it, and it doesn't have to be like this big production on like how to do it. You basically just need to go into this quiet space and just allow yourself to feel and listen. So you had some interesting points earlier, right, about, you know, kind of like some of like the symbolic meaning, like behind the passing. Do you want to share that now?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is, talking about your intuition and using, like, being able to be in touch with that other world. So I've been a hospice nurse for 3 years, which is crazy. I didn't go into it thinking I was going to stick around forever, and I love it so much that it's probably going to be part of my life, even when I've been nursing forever, but this is the longest single type of nursing I've ever done. But so I do a lot of death visits, and I do a lot of work with I walk into a family's home. They've never met me before. I've never met them before. And immediately this rapport is built, and this deep understanding, this eternal thing. And there's no mistakes. I've had crazy stories where I realized I might be wearing too cheerful of I almost said pajamas, scrub tops, which often feel like pajamas, because they have ladybugs all over them. And I'll walk into the home, and the wife will say, "Oh my goodness, ladybugs were my husband's favorite." Just remarkable things like that will happen all the time. What I tell my families during that, because I'm there for the very first moment that they're really beginning to deal with this person is gone. You no longer have to pick up the phone. You no longer have to write them a letter. You no longer have to text them. They are with you. Closer now than ever before. You don't have to wait for them to come back into the other room to hear you. They are here now. Period. And this High Priestess card being called forth is no surprise. They're here. You know, the High Priestess, you can use her as a channel, but you already have your your dad's number on lock. Like you've got him here. Period. He's with you. Which is what came to mind when you were first sharing about that. Absolutely.
So you had made a point too about, the thing like with the parent, like child dynamic is, as we're being brought up, a lot of times, we love to hear our parents like validation and approval, right? Yeah. Like that's something that like really makes a child's like heart sing, as they're developing emotionally. So in a way, like you were saying that before we, shot the video, was like, you no longer have that, right? Like it's scary. Like you don't have that parent there like anymore now to like tell them that they love you, tell them that they're so happy, with what you're doing with your life, that just all these, great things, and even given like the constructive feedback about, mm-hmm. Like, hey, maybe you should, be doing this or whatever. Like even that in a way is comfort, but then there's like the other side to it, right?
Yeah. So not only is your parent, like as a parent, when a parent is alive, they're speaking you into existence. They're saying your name. They're saying, they're giving you life by what they say you're so good at and what they say you could work on and all these mm-hmm. things. And those are good things. And without those things, there is a deep sense of loss. You'll never hear your name spoken by your parent again when they pass. The other side of that, which I was working with a client earlier today, unrelated to hospice, you won't hear them. What you have now is this whole new sense of freedom. You can be whoever you want to be. Our parents want us to be the best version of ourselves. The reason that they wanted us to be on this planet is so that you could become better than them, better whatever. Mm-hmm. But without their speaking of your name into the existence, is like that comes with a particular set of this is how I want you to be. And now that they're not there, there's this new freedom there that you can be anything you want to be. Mm-hmm. Which is different, and it's a different listening. You now have the ability and the authority. You move up, I don't know, like in the world. Now you are your own authority without that parent giving you the constraints or limits of your existence, which just sounds really different. But I don't know,
well, it's just like, like if it's like a family business or something, and then like, say like the dad retires or something, and then like the son takes over the business. It's like, okay, you're in charge now.
Right.
That type of thing.
But you're in charge now, but I'm going to watch you do everything.
Right.
So you better do it right.
Yeah, exactly. And to relate it like back to the High Priestess card, like the great thing about like what she just described is like the final like thing about this card is that it's telling you to embrace this divine, feminine spirit that you have, to connect to your intuition, your compassion, your empathy. So it's a way of saying like, okay, it's time to rise up. Like, you have a sense of like, leadership and like authority, like in your own life now, like embracing that divine, just energetic presence. Whereas like, you don't have, I don't want to say like not authoritarian, but you don't have like, that person, now that like you feel like you need the validation and approval. It's like, nope, you give yourself
You're
like
your own.
that validation and approval now, and that's what stepping into that divine, feminine connection is all about. So the other thing I wanted to like throw in there, just because this was very moving to me earlier, is that I feel like anytime there is a early death, that it's always a call to just know that you never know when you're going to go. So it's always a reminder to all of us to live your life to the fullest. It sounds like a cliche, but it is so true. That having like this just making decisions in your life out of fear, and just talking yourself out of the things that really will make your heart sing, and just pushing through some of those blocks to keep you from getting there. It's like how would life look if you only had 30 days to live, what would you do, type of aspect. So that's what I have on the topic today. Did you have anything else you wanted to add? Or
what would you do if you had 30 days to live?
Yeah,
What would you do? What would you do?
Drink PBR. No, I don't drink. No. Man, I would, I'd have to reflect on that one more. But what I will say is, like, I don't know exactly how it would look, but what I do know is that what it does is that, that fear that comes up, like, to me, that's basically just gone, because it's like you're already going to go anyway. So it's like, what the hell do you have to be afraid about at that point? You know, it's like once you take away like the threat of death, and that goes away, it's like there's like no inhibition at that point, because death is like the ultimate form of fear.
A dear friend of mine, we were having sushi, and he has experienced loss, and he said the world keeps going. The world keeps going. And there's something about that is just so, like, because we can get paralyzed by so many things, and in the end, like, what's the worst thing that could happen? Somebody dies. Like, that's the worst. And the world keeps going.
Yeah.
It just does. It keeps going. And it doesn't care, and it does. The world cares, and the world doesn't care.
Yeah.
And it keeps going.
It does. Yeah. Your dad definitely doesn't want you to be sad either. He wants you to be happy. So hopefully, this video has helped, and that you're able to like go and get stillness and get into that quiet space and see, what other stuff comes up. But I guarantee that part of that message is probably, it's your own message, but no parent, that's passed, like, wants to see their child, grieving or suffering. They want them to feel joy and happiness. So that's it. That's what I have for you.
But people should comment below what they would do if they had 30 days.
That'd be awesome. Please do that. All right, guys. Thanks for stopping by, and I hope this helped. Take care.